Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Friday, October 25th. So far in the streaming, I forgot about looking at the chat, so I see Alvaro says there are special events for cosmetics. We're doing this Brawl launch event, which does seem like it gives just cosmetics, but in fairness, since I am so new, it is also giving me the default uh, cards. So yeah, I'm getting both cards because I don't have both cards. I think for anybody who is even slightly further along, that wouldn't be the issue. I feel like the Brawl event did at the very least force me to learn how to build a deck for the first time, and now we're struggling to get the final fifth win on this after probably 10 to 12 attempts. But the Brawl cards that we're building the decks around are probably not going into my collection, and this probably isn't really adding much to my collection other than cosmetics and those 5 cards. So it's a weird balancing issue where, yes, on one hand, as I understand it, and I could be misunderstanding this completely, yes, on one hand, I'm spending 1,000 gold to get 5 cards if I struggle all the way to the end of getting 5 victories, whereas if I were to just buy a pack, I would get 6 cards and have a chance for wild cards, which are probably way more valuable. But I could see myself doing the Brawls, particularly if the Brawls are going to just start handing all of the cosmetics to a free-to-play player as long as they struggle through the parts that need to be struggled through. To see that happen. Because, yeah, I'm new to this game, so in theory it would be nice to get all the cosmetics. The game is relatively new. It just kind of had its beta period, and so I'm only maybe 6 months to a year late to the party, so there's a chance here. Moving on, as we cover games and news, we have Secret Neighbor has come out on Steam, and right now it is very mixed in its reviews. I suspect the hype around Hello Neighbor has died down enough, and the streamer bait has died down enough. So $17.99 English languages. The thing here is that it's online multiplayer only with in-app purchases. Ew, that doesn't sound good. Well, I'm not going to play this game in particular because it's I wouldn't play multiplayer games anyways. Let's see. Let's go play this. The Brawl has this one card that you can pick that becomes your commander card, and it gets more expensive if it dies, but you can play it a second time or a third time. Here's the review here. I'm not quite sure what specifically needs to be fixed right now, but everything feels off from the Secret Neighbor beta. The game used to be 50 kids to neighbor, and pretty easy for each side to win if they knew what they were doing. So people just hate this release version compared to the beta, which is ironic considering how Hello Neighbor has been releasing, and I believe for free, they've been releasing all of the alpha and beta versions of Hello Neighbor onto Steam, kind of flooding Steam with all of these different versions. you can see here, hello neighbor alpha 4, alpha 3, alpha 2, alpha 1, pre-alpha. So I imagine they'll get around to putting the beta on Steam for free also. Can't attack or block. Alright. We'll start with that. What is this symbol? Proliferate. Okay, it gives +1/+1. Can't block or activate its abilities. Alright, well, since we've got this, we might as well use this. All attack. To target attacking or blocking creatures, we don't need to do that. So it seems like the developers of the Neighbor series in particular have a problem with putting out a finished product or even a unfinished product that catches people's attention, and they have to develop based on feedback, which can often be very unhappy feedback, which really isn't a way to do a business. Like, they should have some internal QA testing and get feedback internally before you put it on Steam storefront where the whole world can see it and you get bad reviews that you deserve but could have easily avoided had you just not bothered to had you just waited. Let's see. Think we're cool? Think we're cool with all these cards? Like this one gains 3 life or gives you a mana of any color. This one looks at 2 additional cards each time you surveil. If you exile this, you can shuffle your graveyard into your hand or into your deck. There we go. Next. In turn. I've got to learn how to use these icons. I think that's the next part of this. It's like, if I could just say stop at defense when it's my turn to see if anybody's going to block my attacks after I click attack all, I could skip resolving a bunch of things. Let's see. This guy, he looks very much like the creature in Stranger Things. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, so it doubles battle cries. Interesting. Doubles battle cries on his turn. Alright, next. Put this on the field. And then +2/+2 would allow this one to attack, so I'm gonna attack just that one. And then stop after blockers. And then click next. And it stopped after blockers. And we click next. Then end turn. So I think you kind of have to use auto passing with the stop for it to really do anything. Next game we have on Steam is called Immo Astray. I almost read it as Ashtray, but Looks like it might be a swinging platforming game, a little Super Meat Boy inspired. Might be something here though. It's reviewed positively. It looks like it might be a little too intense for me, but we'll see. I'll put it on the follow list. $13.49, bunch of language supported. We'll see. We'll think about it. It's already rated positively, so I should probably think about it right now and decide whether or not... What is this boom? Doesn't untap during the controller's next untap step. Okay. So he's just gonna tap 2 of my cards for 2 turns. That's an interesting move. So just keep on resolving. Because that one's gonna draw cards. Now. Auto pass here. Yep. Really can't do anything, so no blocks. I can tell my strategy is not great. There's still a lot that could be done to improve it. So that gets rid of that. Do I want to attack with anything? I don't think so. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam that's a bunch of Asian characters, and then it's called Mobius and Elegy Belongs to Nobody. And then in the video we're immediately seeing a girl, anime girl in bikinis. Although nothing tagged here as far as sexual content or anything like that. There's maybe a slight lack of polish here that makes me feel like this might be a Chinese game trying to sell itself as a JRPG. $10.99 also puts it at a weird price point. And you can see the language is full audio Chinese only with no English support. Yeah. They are getting better though. This doesn't look horrible. It probably plays horrible. It's probably a 5 to 10 hour experience at most. Let's just resolve all. What is that? When you cast a spell, you gain half X and half X cards round down each time. Hydro X enters the battlefield with plus X counters on it. Interesting. So, yeah. I'm doomed. This probably is a good point just to concede. Because this is a trample creature. Unless I had some kind of spell that could destroy or stop this creature. Part of my problem is the strategy here. I'm just wasting a lot of spells doing things that you wouldn't normally do, like stopping a 2/2 with flying with an enchantment is probably a terrible strategy when we see that there's often 7/7s or 8/8s on the field. Right. Well, let's start by putting that out. Put that on the bottom of your deck. And then put that on the field. Get a bunch of health for that. And we can play this. Or we could do that in this next turn. So attack with everything. Kind of all this could block with is that one card. So this might just be a face-to-face race, because he's gonna try and attack with his cards every time. All right. So do I want to give a buff? Yeah, we'll just buff that. Yeah. No reason not to do that. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Type Night, which there was another typing game that came out just a couple days ago, and this is definitely a different thing. I don't know if this is a good thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is a bad game. Yeah, it's kind of just a tower defense game with typing. $3.59 discounted, English and French. You always have to kind of wonder about that as far as how accurate are the words that you need to type as far as spelling. I guess it doesn't really matter if something's spelled right or not, though, because it's really just a matter of can you type things. There are a few instances where typing verbatim instead of cleaning up what was meant to be said are necessary, but not a lot. +2/+2 and fighting. So +2/+2 flying. And all attack. And we can do this and see what he wants to defend with, if he wants to defend with anything. Otherwise we can just take the damage and let it go. Okay. So he's gonna defend with that, which let that resolve. As long as he doesn't buff that, I can play this. Come on. Play this. Hit that. And then attack with the rest. TechRaptor has an article here. Fallout 76 gets a $100 premium subscription service. Are you insane, Bethesda? The weird thing is, like, I don't think there's really a reason why I would boycott Bethesda right now, but there definitely are reasons why I wouldn't play Bethesda games just because they're not good. I kind of feel like maybe vaguely in the back of my mind there was something Bethesda did that was terrible, besides just like the horse armor and DMCA and ZeniMax being very litigious. I know that, but I don't remember if they did some kind of false DMCA strike on some YouTuber that I should be boycotting them from. So I've totally forgotten it. Like, if there was a good reason, I've totally forgotten it. And I guess they have Activision Blizzard single-handedly to thank for that one, because otherwise I totally would remember, or I think I would remember at least, if there was a reason. It can't be too much because I did play Doom 2016 relatively recently and didn't feel like there was any compromised or ethical reasons that I shouldn't have played that. Just stick that back on the field. Let's see, next we have a cheap, low-effort Chinese game here, if I've ever seen one. Just looks like total garbage. English not supported, $1.99. Chinese is the only language, no surprise there. And let's see, what is this card? Can't attack or block. Well, alright, we could play that on some people. Let's see, this one has Death Touch, so that one in specific I should kill, or stop from being able to attack or block. He's doing something that is returning cards to your hand. So he's trying to just set things up to play him again and activate the battle cry, which they're not called battle cry, but whatever. He's trying to activate the battle cries over and over again and double them. Unfortunately, there's still a good chance I'm going to lose here, even though it's 10-42. Next article we have from TechRaptor, Suda51 and Swery65 team up for an indie horror game. We already, I think, talked about this, but yeah, TechRaptor has the article too, which is barely anything. Horror game is going to be called Hotel Barcelona. And that's pretty much all we know. So the fact that they can stretch out three articles around that, it's kind of surprising. Or 3 paragraphs around that. Alright, let's see. This one is this on this. Then just, I guess, no attacks. This late game for this deck is terrible. It's just wait and hope. Wait and hope for a card that would never come, because there's, I don't think, anything even in here that would save me from this. It's nothing that would just do 14 damage. TechRaptor has an article here. Command & Conquer Remaster gets its first gameplay look. Command & Conquer, by this screenshot, looks a lot older than what I recall, but it has been a weird thing. And yep, this is another video that this was working before, so I don't know what specifically is going on here. Whether the plugin I installed screwed things up or not. But yeah, I was using this page specifically to test the plugin to make it stop playing the things at the end. And what I had to do, I think, is I used uBlock Origin to just block the actual accessing code. I don't think it was a actual extension to Chrome. There are several extensions to Chrome that say they will work, but they really only mean they'll work in YouTube's own web page. They won't work when it's embedded. So I probably screwed up the code, to be my guess. And as soon as I have 5 seconds extra to breathe, I might go in there and try and fix that, but we're kind of not in a good position right now. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Old School Horror Game Bright Day, which is a terrible but descriptive name. It's also a obvious dark screenshot syndrome, probably low effort horror game from the looks of it, which frankly there are no looks of it because it's so dark. This is $4.49 discounted, English only, 3 achievements. Yeah, nothing here that makes me think this game is worth my time. This is the one. Enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures of that color gets +1, +0. This would be a nice card to have. Apparently I don't have it. Or maybe I just didn't choose it. Let's see. It's gonna take him a while, but I'm gonna lose. Unless he runs out of cards. 25 cards to my 41 cards. But yeah, he's just gonna keep on playing the buff maneuvers. TechRaptor has an article here. Budget Cuts gets a December release date. Budget Cuts 2, which is a VR game, I believe, coming out December 12th, 2019. They're calling it a VR puzzle game? Is that what it is? As I was skimming here? No, it's a VR stealth game. Maybe there's a bit of puzzling in stealth, yes, but I didn't think it was a puzzle game. So, for the interest of time, let's just concede. Like, we're doomed. We were gonna lose anyways. I think getting a little quicker about conceding is the right move. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have a game on Steam here called The Crossroads Inn, which is mixed. It's tagged with nudity and sexual content also. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. This seems to me like this may be a troll game or just a game that's not really advertising itself correctly. It's a real-time management sim set in an original fantasy. So it seems like you're just running the bar. $17.99, English, Polish, and German. Let's see what the negative reviews are here. This game was marked as released. That's why I bought it. The game was actually version 0.8.x, and it's really obvious that it isn't finished. This should have been opened as an early access title. As it stands, it feels like a cash grab, a title that when they say something is released. Can't see any text, needs a lot of work to make it even enjoyable, playable, refunded. The game stayed as early access. So, okay, yeah, real quickly there, the reviews make it obvious that there's a lack of honesty being put here on as far as how this is being depicted. Crossroads Inn right now totally not listed as early access at all. So yeah, people are not happy, particularly at a rather high price there. That's not a cheap price, $17.99, even for any game, but particularly for a tavern simulator. Next game we have on Steam, Corpse Party Dead Patient. Now, the Corpse Party series, I'm still not 100% sure I know what it is. and I think I keep getting it confused with a Higurashi When They Cry series, I believe. So, it's a violent anime horror RPG according to the tags. It almost looks a little Pokemon-esque in the actual gameplay. $8.99, rated very positively, so people like it. So I'm going to put it on the follow list and think about it. Full Japanese audio and English support, nothing else. 19 achievements. In a lot of ways, a game like this might be more interesting if there are different endings. Like, there are several different endings in a game like this compared to a visual novel where they would have several different endings but require potentially 20 to 40 hours to get through the story even one time. Of course, I wouldn't step into the game Corpse Party 2 without playing Corpse Party 1, so here on Steam is Corpse Party 1, which is rated very positively and is already on my wish list. So I would start with that one. Yep. And it doesn't look like the art style really changed. If anything, it improved from the first game. So that's pretty much all I can say about it right now. What's this card do? Add 1 mana any color into your commander's color identity. Interesting. So the concept of a commander, I guess that word has been bantered around enough that I should know. Should recognize the word. So, I guess maybe there are just some cards specifically for Brawl gameplay style that don't really make sense in standard play. So what's his commander? It's a Planeswalker Bolas Dragon God. Seems like it's an incredibly expensive card. Let's see, 1 fire, 1 water, and 3 death. Let's see, destroy target creature. Okay, I'll put that back. I don't know why you would add a color to his color identity, though. That's the part that doesn't make sense. Like, what's the trick there? He's definitely trying to play this first. Exile a card. Afterlife 2. Let's just get rid of that, I guess. So is he going for a
eons ago?
Is he going for a deck hand destruction strategy? Looks like he might be. Fine, we'll just attack.
Insolent fool!
Next we have a game on Steam here called Norman's Night In, which looks like it might be something, but it's pretty dark here. It's tagged a Metroidvania and a platformer. Let's see how the gameplay looks in this video. They're highlighting a bunch of awards. I'm sorry, I'm just not really sold on this game. Like, it just looks boring. It looks dark. $8.99, English full audio, 1 review. It's on the Google Play Store. Yeah, it just doesn't look interesting to me. Here I've got to exile something else. Let's go and exile that.
Another time, Planeswalker. My intellect is without limit.
There we go. And so it only cost 2, so I can't play that. Just go and put this on the field. And then first strike with 2 would kill this. But let's not attack yet. Let's see. +2/+2.
Will remake the multiverse in my image.
This is ridiculous. He's just...
Conceivable.
He's now
With some
doubling
note of
up.
My power.
He's just doubling up to get rid of...
You have no weakness I cannot exploit.
Alright. Get rid of that. Next. Attack. 6. 5. Don't block any. Seems like the answer is no.
You amuse me.
So now it's either start exiling. It's like straight up exile. Is exiling land like?
Let your weak minds crumble.
Oh man, this is a really terrible destruction deck. This should not work this way. Like we're just losing. We're losing land, and then we're eventually just gonna lose everything. I can play this all I want, but I can't do anything. Next game we have on Steam is called For Inco, which seems like almost like a fantasy real-time strategy game, maybe of some interest. They're calling it an RPG though instead of a. It looks a lot like Diablo. $7.79. Bunch of language support. I'm gonna put this on the follow list because heck, people might actually review this and say, actually this plays pretty good. This is a Diablo clone that might make more sense to play than playing Diablo and supporting Activision Blizzard.
Outsmarted you eons ago.
Gamma Sutra has an article here. Sucker Punch Productions is hiring a quality assurance manager in Bellevue, Washington.
I have other schemes to attend. Witness a mote of my power.
Got like one more card I can play in exile, and then I'm completely out of cards. So this is dumb. This is really dumb. Next turn he's gonna have me exile everything.
Wipe your bloodline. You have no weakness I cannot exploit.
So all I did is just tapped a mana before he took it.
My intellect is without limit.
What does this symbol here mean? Gamma Sutra has an article here. Xbox software and services revenue remains flat as hardware continues to slow, which, yeah, definitely shows that the next Xbox needs to come out, otherwise hardware sales will continue to slow and sales on software will stay about the same when you'd like sales to go up always. I feel like there's some calculations and arguments you can make to say that, well, with the Xbox Games Pass, sales of software are calculated maybe a little bit differently, but that would just be a service, and I think service was involved in that statement, so yeah. Next. He's just gonna cruelly make me exile this, so I should just concede. Like, there's no reason to even help these people. Yep. There's no reason to even spend the time, frankly, to help other people get their daily quests done, because it's just so slow, even compared to Hearthstone. Next we have on Steam Borderlands 2 VR. I guess we're actively boycotting Activision Borderlands, sorta. Like, I'll put this on the follow list. I'm probably never gonna get a VR headset. Buying Borderlands 2 a second time for $50 because it's in VR is not cool at all. Also, and I thought Borderlands 2 VR was already on Steam, so maybe that was Borderlands 1. That might be the case. But I guess if you're still into playing Borderlands, which I can't really blame you, the game is still good. Like, you can't, all its other problems, you can't really get around that. The game is still good. But yeah, the reason why I was boycotting it was because Take-Two, or 2K, yeah, 2K DMCA'd, false DMCA'd a streamer. That was the reason. So I'm just gonna go and hit this, which is probably as devastating as you would get in early game for that. Next we have a game on Steam here called Only After, which looks rather nicely animated for a game I've never heard of or not seen any announcement for. So this seems like this is a AA style game with less funding and publishing around it. Looks a lot like the Telltale style games or Life is Strange style games, if you were to make a Life is Strange game with more adults in it. $17.99 discounted, English and Spanish. I think we'll put this on the follow list and see if there's some reviews that can confirm whether it's worth people's time. Let's see. And I guess I can attack here. I'm almost done with all the games to talk about today, and that's really just going to be the end of this stream. I don't know how long we've been going, but frankly, that's pretty much it. I've been sitting in this chair for far too long, and it's killing my backside. I'm very uncomfortable, which this is how it always happens. I can only sit for so long. I'll attack. Tech Raptor has an article here. Doraemon Story of Seasons is a cutesy ride down a lazy river. What is this on though? It's kind of a Harvest Moon game, but if it was on PC, knowing Doraemon is a hugely popular Japanese kids cartoon, I'd cover it, certainly. Yeah, it's on Steam, so that's something I think will make it to the fall list. Yeah, the wish list. Yeah, I'm always looking for new kids games. Let's see. What else can we do? Can't be blocked with creatures greater than 30 power. That's pretty much, I think, all we can play right now. Target creature with power 4. Get rid of that later. +2 and +2 and gain lifelink. Next, all attack. Then you take a block. If you're gonna block, then I'll trigger some things. Otherwise, okay. Can we do everything here? That worked in our favor. Next game we have on Steam is called Hellion. 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 This is mostly negative with mixed before this, then, which is weird because it looks visually rather interesting. Yeah, even for a space game, which I'm totally not a super fan of space games. I guess. So $14.99 and English full audio and then a bunch of other languages. Let's see what the problems are. Do not buy, avoid this game at all costs. Zero Gravity, the developer and Scrubs, have now abandoned this game. In a news post today, we the players were informed that it was too big of a project for them and basically beyond their capability. They have handed control of all the servers to Discord members and have now, from this point, are doing a runner and washing their hands of this unfinished broken mess. Abandoned by the devs. Okay. That explains it. So, do I need to specifically ignore a game that's abandoned? Not really. So, yeah, that definitely is not making it to the follow list. Then, at least, in all fairness, they bothered to tell you instead of pretending like they were still working on something when they really weren't. Alright. So apparently you can keep playing until the event ends after you've done it, but why would I want to? That's the question. Like, why would I want to keep playing this event? I bought my entry into it. I got my 5 wins. I don't see a reason why I'd want to keep playing. Let's see. And that was not something that would move our season rank up any. So, okay. That was interesting, I suppose. I don't know when this ends, per se, though, so I guess we just assume that that's going to go on forever. Probably it will go on for a week or a month or several months. That would be your 3 big guesses. Meanwhile, just daily victories to get mastery points and to get these daily quests done. We have red and green and blue and red, so clearly we need to play. We can play standard, ranked, or whatever, and just play pure red. And hopefully one game alone will be enough to get those daily quests done. I don't really even think I'm going to spend a ton of time trying to get all 15 wins, unless we get really lucky and just get victory after victory after victory, or people conceding. At least I've learned quite a bit today, though. Just like mulligan if you don't have 3 lands in your hand, because I wasn't really at that point. I didn't think of it that way, and that was probably hurting my gameplay quite a bit. Next game we have on Steam is called 10 Miles to Safety, which looks like it's a top-down twin-stick shooter zombie game. Nothing here particularly interesting. It's visually polished enough. Early access, $12.99, English full audio. No, I don't see anything here though that makes me want to play a game like that. Let's see. I could attack, but there's no reason to. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Magnia, which seems to be a Transformer toy exploding and then you have to put it back. It's physics world puzzles that you have to put together and combine, but the problem here is it looks to me like it is 100% copyright infringement. Like, you can't just have a Lego minifig and break it apart as a 3D model, or what. I don't even know what toy that is, but yeah. This strikes me as just like straight up 100% copyright infringement game. It looks visually nice, but I don't think you fall under fair use to have 3D models of things and then use those 3D models of things to as a reason to make a puzzle around. I guess we could attack with this, but I'm not sure there's a reason yet, so we won't. Magnia is early access for $7.69 discounted in a bunch of languages and then 5 achievements. I don't know, should I not care about the copyright part or put it on the fall list? Now, I think as a consumer, if you see something shady that looks shady, you shouldn't get in business with people. It's like, if they're screwing over somebody else, they're just as likely to screw you over too. Let's see. What does this one do? Alright, that should be fine. So that's going to be a pass for me. And then just all attack should work now. Makes sense. Next we have a game on Steam here called Admiral Stepinski, which looks like it's a space flying around shooting game. It's got a little bit of visual polish, but then there's just a lot of empty background, no stars, skies. And the actual gameplay doesn't look particularly interesting. $14.99, English only. I'm not big into space games, so no surprise there that that wouldn't catch my attention. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Zyexia Neon Termination. Looks like a low-effort top-down twin-stick shooter game. Some weird color palettes chosen there. Early access, $9.99, English only. Yeah, not making it to the fall list. Again, worth pointing out that I did curate this content somewhat. So there's still some games that made it through, or games that at the very least didn't look so terrible that I thought it wasn't even worth showing them off. Next, we have a game on Steam called The Valley, which is going to be easily confused with the game just called Valley. This looks like it's a somewhat highly polished asset flip first-person shooter game. Seems like you're fighting spiders, which giant spiders, even if they're asset flip spiders, which it probably are, is at least something different than your standard terrible zombies. Early access, 99 cents, English full audio. With that price alone, you know this is not a game you should waste your time on. You're not going to get even 99 cents of enjoyment out of it. Let's see. Come on, keep playing. Next, we have a game on Steam called Knight Swap, which is a chess puzzle game. We have to move the knights around. Actually, I think I've already covered a game that was exactly this, so it would be hard for me to justify playing another game that did the same thing when I know all of those games that have been puzzle games. I haven't 100%ed them. But I guess I'll put it on the fall list, and if there's ever a point in the future where I feel I need to play a Knight Swap game again, this is 59 cents discounted and English full audio, which I doubt there actually is any full audio. The puzzles would be different, or at least one assumes, so I imagine you are going to get a different experience because of that. Here I don't want to attack because I don't want to give him an opportunity to get more health by blocking. Let's see. Next we have Moons of Madness on Steam, which seems like it is a sci-fi Lovecraftian game set on a planet, not so much set in space. It's mostly positive, and I think the only thing to worry about here is de novo, $19.99. Let's see, requires a third-party EULA, English full audio. Yep, this looks good enough that it should be on the wish list. Like, it passes the qualifications, having more than 20 positive reviews. This is probably a single A or double A game. Blockers. Is there any reason why I need to block? Well, I don't think there is. Well, he played well. If somehow this strategy saves him, I'd be very surprised. Like, I have nothing I can do. Meanwhile, this character can put the top 4 cards into the graveyard and then exile them. gets rid of the Planeswalker with that ability, which automatically did. Then he gets rid of that card. Now I'm getting a good game from him. Next game we have on Steam is called War Trains, which looks like it's a train versus giant monster game. There might be something to this, but it kind of looks asset flippy, and it kind of looks bad. Like early access, $6.99. It's a new concept. I'd like to see some reviews on this. I'd like to see a better version of this idea too, where you're on a train or on rails in general, playing an on-rail shooter. And then if you were playing like an on-rail shooter fighting several monsters. Although, in all fairness, that really is probably just a sequence you would want to have in a much larger first-person shooter, not a game by itself where you're just always on rails attacking enemies. But there might be a way to work around that. I'm getting a good game again. Come on. All attack. Let's see. What does this do? Yeah. So did that play enough cards? No. Yeah. So I guess we'll play one more game and see if I can get the daily quest done. Otherwise I'm gonna have to do it off screen because we're gonna just run out of news here. Next we have on Steam Space Gladiators Escaping Tartarus. This is a different art style, but is this a real game worth playing? Roguelike, tagged difficult to early access, $9.99, English only. This looks so different, I'll give it a chance. We'll see what the reviews have to say on it. But I also could imagine that it's more of a troll game or a joke game, and it's not really a full content experience. Next we have a game on here called Obsidian Crown. It's a top-down twin stick shooter. It's a little dark screenshot syndrome happening. Looks very generic as far as the tile set and the backgrounds. I don't really like the color. So $7.19 discounted English. Yeah, visually unappealing to me. So I'm not going to bother with that, putting that on the follow list. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Watchers, which looks like it's just a top-down twin stick multiplayer game. I think it is multiplayer only, so I'd never play it anyways. It's free to play. But if this looks like something that would be interesting, maybe. Seems like it's maybe doing a different style of gameplay where you don't ever get knocked out of the battle and you just continue to play even if you've been killed for a score or something, or just to help a team. Which, trying something new should never be a bad idea. So it's worth a try at least once, I suppose. Next we have this game called Kiki's Adventure, which looks like a Nintendo 64 game. It doesn't look like in the gameplay that it's running particularly smoothly, unfortunately. Looks like a platformer, action, adventure experience with Kiki and a Japanese title here. $3.59. English then Chinese, which makes me think this is probably a Chinese game, and it's probably not that good, but I'm willing to put it on the follow list and give it a chance. The price also kind of prices it too cheaply, so almost certainly if it even is a good game, it's an extremely short good game. Where instead it's suggesting something like the Spyro Reignited trilogy, which is a proven game that's rated very positively, so I would much prefer to be gifted or purchase myself the Spyro Reignited trilogy and play a game that's a collectathon Nintendo 64 looking game. I know Spyro didn't really come out on the Nintendo 64, but that level of quality, that generation of early 3D games, 3D kind of open world games. So Kiki's Adventure certainly would have to compete against some of those. One of the things I want to look up is if the Rare Replay collection of Rare games is actually on Steam, because if it is, then I could play all the old Banjo-Kazooie games and compare them to Yooka-Laylee, which I recently played and didn't like. See, next we have a game on Steam here called Arcade Unchained, which is mixed. It looks kind of interesting. It looks very detailed, but then I bet it doesn't play very well. And it's probably like a MOBA game. Player versus player, I was a guess. See, Arcade Unchained is $26.99. It's multiplayer only, MMO with in-app purchases, English, French, and German. Yeah, so it's already an MMO, so I wouldn't play it. The most helpful review says, very large learning curve for someone like me when coming in from WoW or Elder Scrolls Online. However, the depth of the game is incredible. Crafting, housing, sailing, farming, PvP, dungeons, blah blah blah. So here we have a negative review. Totally glitched, do not buy. You cannot see character skins. There's an exploit. There's another review. So bug problems seem to also be a problem with Arcade. Just auto pass this stuff. Just don't bother with any of that. See, I want to make sure I play a bunch of cards if I can. Even if I am going to lose, which there's a good chance I'm going to lose. Next we have a game called Medieval Embers of War. This looks like just a side-scrolling hack and slasher with maybe some RPG elements. Doesn't look visually polished or varied enough to be interesting. You're going to spend most of your time just walking on a road, attacking things. $7.99. And in all fairness, there's some arcade games, beat 'em ups, that are straight that, where you're just moving from left to right on the road. But modern games require a little bit more. English full audio. Yep, not making it to the follow list. 2 damage, divided equally. Play this. 4 damage. Okay. This and that. Attack. And then next, and attack with that. then next. And then just go ahead and keep on passing. I wish there was just a way to turn off this ability from triggering. Just like stop asking me to use this ability. I'll tell you when I want to use the ability, and if I don't have enough time to use the ability, then that's my own fault. Like, put a 10-second timer or a 5-second timer on all resolved abilities instead of just counting against a much larger timer, which does not really come into play very often. It would be very weird for them to add a timer now anyways, though, because like how would you do it without irritating people? Just to say, okay, the game is now going to play completely different from the way it used to play because we've realized the players are smarter and can play faster, except for all the new players who can't do that. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Camille the Fall, which is some kind of VR game. Interesting. Kind of looks like it's a VR exploration mystery game. Seems like it might be pretty short. Requires VR. It's $4.99. It's English and full audio. Now normally, this is a pilot episode, 15 to 30 minutes depending on your curiosity. This is a VR experience only. So yeah, it's too cheap for a VR game. It's almost certainly never going to be finished. I could put it on the fall list, I guess, and be generous, but I almost certainly would never buy it, even if I did have VR. And that would be a lot. Speaking of a lot, because I spent so much time doing the Brawl launch event, I have 14 more reds I need to play for this, and 10 more reds for this, and tons of more daily victories. And now daily victories are giving you also mastery XP, which I don't know if maybe I just went over level 30 and that was why, or if this is just a new update to things. So there's a lot of stuff I'm going to have to do off screen. Meanwhile, we have a game here called The Legend of Crystal Valley. By the looks of it, it doesn't look like it's widescreen, but maybe there's a point-and-click adventure game here worth playing. So I'm going to put it on the fall list because I'm a sucker for point-and-click adventures. $9.99, English only, without full audio, which means that would be a lot of reading too, which is a consideration. We have only 2 more games. Next, we have a game on Steam called Alan's Attitude, which seems to be a combination of puzzle games, which is a weird title, frankly. I don't think, frankly, I think the word attitude in particular is not a word you ever want to say out loud, because it's not going to elicit a positive response, because saying someone has an attitude almost never is, you have a great attitude, I love your attitude. It's always, you have a bad attitude, or I have a problem with your attitude. It's like, no, this is something that's not a good move. It seems like it's a programming game where you're programming little circuit chips to get from point A to point B. Alright, that's slightly interesting. $5.99, English full audio. Slovak Arts Council apparently funded this, which might explain the title. It might make a little bit more sense in that case if it was translated from something else. Hopefully there isn't somebody named Alvin that worked on the project that they just named the game as an insult to him. Last game we have to look at here is called Chernobyl Light, or Chernobyl, yeah, I guess Light would be the name of it. This looks like one of those horror Russian games set in kind of Chernobyl in Russia. Fast-paced RPG, post-apocalyptic survival early access. $29.99, full English, full Russian. Now, the thing about this is I don't think I can just immediately say this is a low-effort Russian game. This actually looks like this is a pretty good-looking Russian game, so it deserves to be on the fall list. We'll see what the reviews say, but even right now you can see it's mostly positive, so unless this is just a massive amount of Russian trolling, which we haven't seen before, where they made a game look really, really good and then had a lot of people put fake reviews on it. I think this is actually a good game, and the simplest solution I think is the easiest, which is to say this might be a good game. And then let's see. That brings me to the Humble Bundle, which, is there any new Humble Bundles to mention? No. And we had already talked about the best-selling games of September, so, but I opened it up from Steam's own blog, which is a lot easier to go through because they show pictures, and frankly, if I see the picture of the game, I have a better chance of remembering what it is. Yeah, so that's all the games that came out in September that were either free to play and very well played, or the best sellers. Okay. Then I guess the last thing to do would be to ask, are there any new super important bits of news that happened in the middle of the stream? And I imagine the answer is no. So we've wrapped up this week. We're not going to have any games left over, or not a significant amount of games left over for Monday. I think starting with Monday, we're going to start approaching more of a time frame where we run into more games coming out. Let's see. Scrolling down my Twitter feed, I was just scrolling up. At what point do I stop following Hearthstone on my Twitter feed? I guess I'll give it a month. I'm not really seeing any. I was basically getting no views on Hearthstone streams. Now doing the Magic the Gathering Arena streams, we're getting at like 2 or 3 views every stream pretty consistently, so that's an improvement. So yeah, we're not too far away from potentially uninstalling Hearthstone. It would be a mistake for me to uninstall it though, because it's taking up an insignificant amount of space, and I'd forget the password and the code, which is exactly what happened when I tried to log into the Bethesda launchers. Forgetting what the password was, because apparently it's one of those websites that has incredibly low levels of security and won't work with my standard password scheme, which is very, very long. There was a story of a original Unix developers having their passwords cracked. At the time, the passwords were at maximum 8 characters, and nobody was really trying to crack them during the time that those passwords were being used. So it was more of a historical attempt to say, hey, can anybody crack these programmers' passwords? Some of which the passwords were very complicated for being 8 characters long, which is to say they weren't very complicated at all. Others were very simplistic, and I imagine anyone who is still alive that were working on the original Unix team have long since adopted much better security protocols and procedures with a much better security standard. And yeah, I think we're done. I think I'm seeing just repeated comments. And this whole weekend is going to be a weekend of healing for me. After burning my fingers and blistering another finger, I'm going to just try really hard to not do much of anything other than the fact that I still need to play a bunch of this also. Well, that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.